Good day, everyone. Now, in this lecture, I would like to implement a number of items that we have for each of this. So, for the wishlist batch and for the cart. If you think about it, we have these two here. We have one of them in the home screen, and also we have both of those in the user screen. Now, I could just work the way I'm working for the product detail screen, that is by using the providers that we have and then take the provider again to the home screen and then again to the user screen and then use it. But a better way to get around this would be to wrap our buttons that we have in the product detail screen of the app bar action, that we wrap it with a consumer. So that is the approach that I am going to take. Let's wrap this in a stream builder. That's the easiest way to get started with a consumer, and change the stream builder to be a consumer. And consumer is a generic type, so we are going to change it to be our wishlist provider. We do not need the stream, and for the builder, let's leave the context, and for the snapshot we're going to change it to be WP. So WP stands for wishlist provider, and we do not need the third argument, that is the child. So I'm just going to pass an underscroll because we do not need it. Now, let's wrap this icon button with a center and then change the center to be a badge. Now, badge has some properties that we will set up. So first is to animate. What's wrong? So to animate should be true. We have the animation type. So animation type should be badge animation type dot slide. We have position. It should be badge position dot top end, and top should be 5, end should be 7. And badge content should be a text that should come from our WP. So WP stands for wishlist provider dot wishlist list dot length, and since it's a string, so we have to convert it to a string by putting dot to string. So with that, if I save it, my bad, that's a very wrong place to use the consumer. Let's just copy this much and then press Ctrl Z. My bad. Let's go up. Yes, for the app bar. So I'll just paste it here and then change the icon button that we have. So cut it and bring the icon button here. So this is what it should be. With that, if I save it now, alright. Now if I add something to the batch, you see we have 1. Let's go back, let us add something more. You have 2, great. Now we need the same for this icon button as well, so for the cart item. So let's copy this consumer, copy it, paste it here. Now let's take this icon button, so cut it and put the icon button here. Now for this one, we need to change the provider. So it should be a consumer of cart provider, and let's change it to be CP. And here, where we have this length, let's change it cp dot cart list dot length dot toString, and we're good. So we do not have anything in the cart, hence we don't have anything here. Now if I add one, see we have it 1 in cart. Let's go to something else. Let's go to this one here. Add it to cart, it's here. Add it to wishlist, we have it here. Alright, now it's time that we use both of this in, firstly, let's go to our home page. And for home page, we have the wishlist. So I'll just take this consumer here, copy it, go to our home screen, And for the home screen, let's go up, 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 where we have this icon button of favorite. Paste it here. And we need to bring this wishlist provider, so bring it. We need to bring the badge, so bring it and save it. Now let's add something. We do not have to go inside anything, we can just add it from here. Oh, one more thing. We need to wrap this button here, so we need to be able to press this button. So let's just give it a try. Put one. And you see it's also working here. Now before I fix this button here, let's go to our user screen. So just get rid of this one. Go to the user screen that we have, user screen. And for the user screen, we have this user list style here. So user list style, and then we have another user list style. So let's bring that consumer here as well. Control V. Get the wishlist provider. Get the badge. And let's take this, cut this wishlist. And instead of this icon button, let's use our user list style. So save it. Come to the user screen. You see we have it here. That is a bad place, so I'll just Control Z it. Just a second. Control Z, Control Z, Control Z. I'm going back. Don't have to use it here. So we are in the user back section. And we have it, where is our user back? User back. Alright, so here's the user back. For the user back, let's paste the consumer. Copy it from here. So copy, paste it here. We need to use the wishlist provider. We need to use the badge. And as a child, I'll use this icon instead of this icon button. I'd like to use a list style. So use a list style. So a list style has its leading, which should be an icon button. The list style should be an icon button. Another icon button needs an on pressed, which I'll keep it empty. And for the icon, let's use icons dot favorite. So save it. Great. Let's wrap this list style with a card. So use a center and then use a card here. And let's use a title. So after the leading, we have this title, and the title should be a text that says wish list. And we need a trailing, so a trailing of icon. Let's just set the icon here. So icons dot arrow forward iOS. Save it, we have it. For the icon, let's change the color to be colors dot red. Save it. Now we want the badge to be on this icon button. So I'll just copy everything that is inside the badge. So cut it, and let's get rid of the badge from here. Remove this widget and use the badge for the icon button. So wrap it with the center and make a badge here. Now for this badge, let's save it or paste it, and we have it here. Perfect. I want the badge to be, this wishlist badge should be favorites underscore border. So border, better. And or should it be just a favorite? Let's change the color to be pink accent. Now we can get rid of this user list style. And now use this entire consumer, copy it one more time. So paste it here. Now we need a cart instead of the wish list. So let's go to this and use a shopping underscore cart. Put a color of deep purple accent. And for the provider, this should be a card provider. So CP. And this should be of card provider as well. Come down here and change this to be cp.cartlist.length. Great. I still think the color could be improved a bit. So if we go up here, bring it to be a red. For the icon content that we have for the badge, we can change the color to be colors dot indigo, let's say. I'll just keep it indigo for now. So with that, we are good. My bad. We have used the badge where in every place that we need to. Now, one thing that for this item here, we need to be able to press it. So let's go to our widgets where we have the popular products. And for the popular products, we have the favorite. So Control F and search for favorite. So here is the thing, the favorite. Let's wrap this with a consumer as well. Before I wrap it with the consumer, let's see what we have here. We have a cart and we have product attribute. All right. So let us wrap it with a stream builder and change the stream builder to be a consumer of type wishlist provider. Let's get rid of the stream. Change the snapshot to be WP and comma with a underscore because we do not need the third argument. Save it. Now, on top of this, we want WP dot add and remove to wishlist, and we need to send the PID. So we should get it from the product attribute. So product attribute dot ID. I guess we can set the title to be product attribute dot title, product attribute dot image URL, and product attribute dot price. So with that, one more thing, if I press on it, so whenever I click it, if it is inside the wish list, I want the icon to be changed. So wp dot wishlist list dot contains product attribute dot ID. If this is the case, I want this, else I want the bordered one. So copy it, paste it here, the underscroll border. So save it. Now you see if I click it, we have it. If I don't click it, we do not have it. Great. Now I think one more thing, if we change it to be red, would be much better. So I'll just use the color of colors dot red, and let's get rid of the border here. So much better. One more thing that I have edited off the screen, if you come to the user screen.dart, for both these icons here, so both this consumer, this one and the one below, I have given this list style and on tap, and for the on tap I have set the logic for going to the respected screen, so navigator of context, for this one wishlist and for that one cart screen. And for the child of the badge, I've removed the icon button to be just a static icon. So just a static icon with a size of 40, and for the icon badge I have given it a style. So the badge I've given a style of text style, and the color is white. Just these three things. So this, and this. And same for down here for the second one. Alright, so now what I want to do is implement a dialog. So if I click for any of this more word, I want a pop-up to show up where we can add it to the wishlist, the cart, or view it. Now to implement that, let us first identify the widget that we're using, this inkwell. Now first of all, you see this inkwell, it's a very tiny tab target size. You might hit it or you might miss it. If you miss it, you will go into the detail screen, and hence that is a very bad user experience. So first of all, let us change this to be an icon button. So I'll change this to be an icon button, and child needs to be icon, and on tap should be on pressed. Now with that, you see we have an error because icon button has a very large tab target size, which is exceeding our available space here. So I'll just cut it, come after the container because we are inside the stack, and paste it here. Now you cannot see it because we need to wrap it with a positioned argument. So let us wrap it with the center and change the center to be positioned, and set a bottom of 8 and a right of 10. With that, if I save it, we have it here. And now we have a very large tab target size. Even if we hit here, we are going to tap it. If we hit here, we are going to tap it. Alright. Now inside of this icon buttons on pressed, I want to change it to be an async because it will be a show pop-up. And here let's put a show dialog. Let's return a show dialog. For the builder, it should be a context which will return us something, and I'll just write it container. We will change it after a while when we have something to change, of course. With that, let's go to the widgets folder and let's make a new file. Call it feeds product underscore dialog dot dart. Now for feeds product dialog, one more thing. Alright, so for the feeds product dialog, let's import a material.dart and make it a stateless widget. Call it feeds product dialog. And first of all, let us return a dialog here. So with that, if we go back to our feeds product, and instead of this container we use the feeds product dialog, save it, and now if we click it, we get a dialog. So let us start customizing it. So firstly, I want a child, and this should be a cart. and the cart should have a child of a row. The first item should be a circle avatar with a background color of colors dot deep purple accent. And as a child, let's set an icon button. On pressed, I'll keep it as an empty function now, and the icon should be icons dot favorite with a color of colors dot white. So let's try again. This is what we have. I'll have this circle avatar 2 more times. I want a total of 3 items there. So paste. Save it. And with that, if I click it, this is what we get. Now first of all, let's go to the row and set its main axis alignment to be main axis alignment dot space around. So this is what we have. And now let's start changing the icons. So first we have this. Alright, before we change the icon, let's do something. Now for this feeds product, we need access to the individual product that we are clicking for, right? So let's ask for a dependency injection, and I'll do a final product. I need a product, and let's name this as product. Come to the constructor and let's ask for it. So required this dot product. Let's go to feeds product and let us pass the product that we are asking for. So product, pass it from product attribute that we have up there from the provider, and just the product attribute. Because if you come up here, you see that this thing is a product. Let's go back, and now let us start working with it. So I'll wrap this circle avatar with a stream builder and change the stream builder to be a consumer of type wishlist provider. No need for the stream. Change the snapshot to be WP. WP stands for wishlist provider, and the third argument is a child, which we do not need, hence the underscroll. Now with that, what happens when we click the button? Let's just keep it open. When we hit the button, we should go to the wishlist provider dot wishlist list dot add. My bad. Wishlist provider dot add or remove from wishlist, and product ID is our product dot ID. So let's just take this much, copy it. Our title is product dot title. Image URL is product dot image URL, and price is product dot price. Alright. Now if I click it, you see it's updating. Now one more thing for this icon here, let's put a logic. So wp dot wishlist list dot contains product dot id. I need this icon. If not, I'll copy this entire icon again, copy it. Else we are gonna have this icon. So with that, the first one should have a color of red. Save it. And now if we have it as red, and we have it here. If we remove it, we don't have it here. Now for the second one, this should be add to cart. So I'll just copy this entire consumer, copy it, get rid of this circle avatar, and paste it here. Now this should be a type of cart provider. Change it to be CP. Here we can just change it to be CP. Get rid of this first. CP dot add to cart, and product ID is our product dot ID. Title is product dot title. Image URL is product dot image URL. And the price is product dot price. So comma and then a semicolon. Now one more thing, we are having an error somewhere. Alright, and for the icons, this should be cp.cartlist, and if it contains it, we want a shopping cart. Take this icon and paste it here. So save it. Now if we have it in the wishlist, we have it here and we have it as red. If we have it in the cart, we have it here and we have it as red. Now for the last one, the circle avatar, I don't want to wrap it with a consumer because it's alright. Just give it a logic of a navigator.of context dot push named, and the named is our product detail screen dot route name. Not only that, we also need to send an argument, and the argument should be of product dot id, so that the product ID could be matched and showed appropriately in the product detail screen. So with that, before we click it, let's change this to be an I. So I use this icon for the view, and if I click it, we come here. Great. Now if I go back, you see we still have this. Now to tackle this, inside of this on press, before we write the navigator, let's do a navigator dot pop. So with that, if I click it and come back, we do not have that anymore. That's great. Alright, so let's start working with the search screen, its UI and the logics. Now before we proceed, one thing that I would like to clear off first is if you come to here, you see if our cart is empty, we have this shop now, and also we have the same thing for the wish list. To tackle this, let's go to empty.cart.dart from your widget folder, and where you have this button, please write this code of navigator of context dot push replacement named, and pass the bottom navigation screen with its route name. Copy the entire thing, come to empty wish list and do paste it here. Alright. Now one more thing, inside your popular product, so popular product means this thing here, make sure that your icon has this code. So if you are clicking, the color changes to red if it is inside the product attributes, and if the product attribute ID matches the one with your wishlist list, so you have the one with colors.red. If no, it's the white one. Alright, so I just wanted to make sure that we are all on the same page, because I am not really sure if I have recorded this and the logic for this in some video. Alright, so with that being said, let us start. For the search screen, let's go to the search screen, and before we do anything with the search screen, I'd like to go to product.dart. Inside product.dart, let's make a new getter, so it should be a list of product, and list of product, I'll name it get by search, and we need to expect a string of search. So inside our product screen, we will have a search bar where if we write something, I want to pass that string here for this method, and I want to filter through my product for the matches that matches the search result. Now we need another list of product, and I'll just name it cat list, name it prod list or whatever, and this thing should equals to be products, so our main products list dot where element dot title dot to lowercase dot contains our search dot to lowercase. So this is the logic that I want. And one more thing, we do have to turn it to list, and we're good. Now after that, let's notify all the listeners, and let's return the prod list. So return prod list. So with that, we have a getter that is going to filter through all the products that we have in this product list, and the one that matches our string will be given to us here. So with that, let's proceed. I'll get rid of this. Now in the search screen, let's start working here. Firstly, let's change this stateful to be a stateless to be a stateful, because we will be having a lot of state changes and set states for this screen. Now, let's go to our state class and let us initiate a let text editing controller. Call it controller. Also, I'd like to have a final focus node, and I'll explain what this focus node does. And let's just name it node equals to, this is a focus node. Alright. After that, let us bring an init state. And for the init state, firstly, let us initialize our controller. So controller equals to text editing controller. Then we need to call this controller.addListener, and this listener will keep on setting state whenever something in the controller is changing. Also, after that, let's go outside the init state, and here we have the dispose state, or the dispose method. For the dispose method, I'd like to call our controller and dispose it. So whenever we change the screen, I want it to be disposed. Also, I'll call my focus node, so the node dot dispose. Alright, now with that, let's initialize an empty list here. So let list of product call it search list, and this equals to should be a list. Alright, now for the widget, inside the widget, let's do a final product data, and this should equals to be, let's increase it, provider dot of context of product provider, so product provider context, and then another final product list equals to product data dot products that we have. All right. Now for this scaffold, let's go to our feed screen where we have this padding here. So feed screen, yani this thing here. So I'll just get the entire padding, copy this much, get rid of it, come to our scaffold. We do not need the app bar for the search screen, so I'll just get rid of it. Put our body, and for the body, let's put it here. We need to get the feed screen. And we're having some error with this product list. This here should be product instead of S. We just need it to be one singular product. Alright. So now in the search screen we have this here. Now what I want is I want to implement a search bar here. You could go as fancy as you want with your search, but I'd like to keep it super simple. I just want to show you how search works in Flutter. Now after that, let's come down, and inside the scaffold before the body we have a bottom sheet. For the bottom sheet I'll use a text field, and this text field has an onChanged, which gives us a value, and with the value we can do something. Now if you have a look at it, this is the bottom sheet that we have, and this is the text field that we have, right? The text field. So we can write things here. Let's get rid of all the things that are here. Alright. Now for the onChanged, what I want is I want to set. So set the state. And for the set state, what I want is we made a search list above this variable here, search list, and search list should equals to be product data. Not really sure why is my laptop not responding properly. So product data dot get by search, and for the search we are just going to pass the value that has been there on the text field. So I'll just pass the value here. Great. Now this text field has a controller, and the controller is our controller. It has a node, focus node, and the focus node is the node that we made up there. So just underscore node. After that, let's get out of this onChanged, and let us pass a min lines of 1. I'll just have a minimum line of 1. I'll have a prefix icon, or an icon to be exact. Let's pass the decoration of input decoration. And inside input decoration we can have a border, so I'll pass a border, and let's pass an outlined input border. Inside of which I want to pass a border radius. Should be outline input border. Let's pass a border radius of border radius dot circular, and pass a value of 12 here. After border radius we have our border side. So border side will be border side. Could give a width of 0 and a style of border style dot none. So let's get outside this input decoration and see if we have some icon. Of course, inside the input decoration, pass an icon of prefix icon to be exact. So prefix icon, and let's pass an icon of icons dot search. Let's also pass a suffix icon. And for the suffix icon, I want an icon button. So an icon button, where we have an onPressed, and onPressed I'll leave it empty. And for the icon, I'll use icons.close. So let's save it first and see what it looks like. So this is the search part that we have. Now after that, let us come to the body. For the body, what I want is, I want to write a logic first of all. So if our controller dot text dot is not empty, and if search list dot is empty, so if both of these conditions are true, I want to pass something here. So what I want is, I want to pass a center with a child of column, and column has some children. And inside the children, I'd like to pass first of all a sized box that has a height of 50. Copy the sized box. Have an icon of icons dot search. Give it a size of 60. Pass the size box again, and then have a text. So a text where I say no results found. And also let's give it a style of style text style with a font size of 30 and a font weight of font weight dot bold. So that was all for the UI. Let's see what happens. See, if I write something mistakenly, we have this. Let's pass a main axis alignment for the column. So main axis alignment should be main axis alignment dot center. Main axis alignment dot center. Now let's come down where we have this padding, and let us finally implement everything. Now when we press on this close button, so close button is here in the suffix. What I want is, inside of this onPressed, let's pass our controller. So the controller dot clear, and our node, so focus node dot unfocus. So what these two things will do is, the controller will remove everything, and unfocus will drop our keyboard down. So that was the reason why we were using the focus node. Now with that, for the icons, where we have this icon, let's pass a color, and if our controller, so the controller that we have, controller.text dot is not empty. We want a colors.red, and if it is empty, the color should be colors.gray. Now one more thing for this onPressed, if the controller.text, if the controller.text dot is empty, I want to pass an empty function, and if it is not empty, I want to pass this function here. So with that, we are done working here. Now let us work on the UI, or the result that we will have. Let's go to the padding that we have, and here for the item count, what I want is, I want to set our controller.text.empty. So for example, if our controller.text dot is not empty, so I want to use our search list dot length, and if it is empty, we will use the product list dot length. Likewise, for the value that we have here, I'll use our controller.text dot is not empty. If that is the case, I want to use our search result search list at index, and if it is not true, I want to use the product list. So with that, let us write something here, and you see, as we are writing, things are coming up. So if I write apple, so A, everything with A is here. BP, all Apple products are here. In this lecture, we will get started with the landing page. Now, before I get started with the landing page, I have two new images. So first one is this shopping1.jpg and then shopping2.jpg. Both of these we need for our landing page. And one more thing, to get this image, I mean, if you want to use this exact image, you could do that, or else you could just use any image. Now, if you want both of this, you could come to my GitHub, where you have the repository of flutter_shop_cpt21. Inside it, go to this branches and go down where you find 60.0 assets for landing screen. Go inside and you will find this assets folder, inside of which we have images folder. And inside of this, you have this shopping1.jpg, shopping2.jpg. Download them and then come back to your project and put them inside the images folder. After that, come to your popspec.yml and click packages get. Now with that, you should be up and running and up and ready. Alright, so now let's start working with the landing page. Inside of my lib folder, we have this screens folder, inside of which I'll make a new file, and name it landing_screen.dart. Now let us import a material.dart first of all. Let's make it a stateless widget. I'll change it to stateful later when we need to, and call it landing screen. Now let's give a static const route name, and the name should be landing screen, landing-screen, and let us get a scaffold here. Now with that, let's go to main.dart and let's initialize the route name. So I'll just copy this much and make it landing, landing screen, and so the landing screen should be here. With that, also let's change it here, landing screen. Alright, so now for the home, we have set the landing screen. So landing screen is what you see. Now inside of the landing screen, let's bring up the body And firstly, I'd like to use a stack. So a stack that will have children. And the first children should be our image. So image.asset. And let's get the asset from assets slash images slash shopping1 dot jpeg. Save it, and we have it. Now one more thing, for the fit I'd like to use box fit dot cover. That's not a cover at all. And let's wrap this in a sized box, so a center, and then change the center to be a sized box, and give the sized box a height of double dot infinity and a width of double dot infinity. Great. Now ultimately, to wrap this entire video up, what I will do later is that I want this image to move, right, to have some animation. So let us also get the alignment for the image, and I'll just comment it out. We will use this alignment later. Now with that, let's get outside of this size box, and let's bring a container or an asset or a text. Let's bring a text. Let's bring a column. First of all, give it a child. And for this column, I'll set the main axis alignment to be main axis alignment dot start, because I want the properties of this column to be on top. Now firstly, let's put a const size box with height of 50. Now let's get a text and say, oh, welcome to. Give it a style of a text style. Give a font size of 35. Let's maybe make it 45. Just welcome to would be nice. Give it a text align of text align dot center. Not really working, is it? Let's give a cross-axis alignment. So cross-axis alignment should be cross-axis alignment dot center. Not really. So I'll just wrap this text in a container and give it a width of double dot infinity. Let's change this container to be a center. Alright, yes. So now with that, let's copy this entire center and paste it down below, and we call it welcome to the Flutter shop, or I'll just keep it welcome to. Yep, welcome to Flutter shop. And for this one, I'll change the size to be 65. Better. Now after that, after this column, let's come out and let's make another column. So another column, give it a child. And for this one, I'll set the main axis alignment to be main axis alignment dot end. And firstly, inside of it, let's pass a row. And here, I'll use two expanded child. So one expanded, and the child should be an elevated button. Give it a on pressed, and I'll leave it empty for now. And then a child, which should be text that says login. And after that, after this expanded, Also for this login, let's put a style. I can just copy the style from here. Instead of 65, I'll just pass a color here. Colors dot white. And let's use another expanded. So copy it and paste it down below and make it sign up. Now to have some space, I'll use a const size box of width of 10 and copy this entire size box, put one between the two expanded and one after the last expanded. So save it. Better. Now outside this row, let's put another size box and make it height. Give it a height of 20. After that, we want another column. Or do we? Let's take an elevated button. Paste one here. Save it. And take this size box and elevated button, copy it, and paste again after the elevated button. So now with that, let's change it to be 10. Alright. So for this one, I'll write continue with Google. Go as guest. Or what we could do is, instead of doing this, we could just take this entire row, because I think that would look much better. So let's just get this row, copy it, and instead of this two elevated button, let's just paste this row. So with that, it's looking much better. Now also, after this row, let's copy this size box and paste it one more time so that it goes a bit above. Now that is looking better. So with that, that was our first part for the landing page. In the next video, we will animate this screen that is behind us. Alright, so in this lecture, we will get started with the animation that we were talking about. Now, first of all, on top of this file, I have this import dart.ui, which I don't know came from where. Let's just get rid of it. Alright, now, firstly, since we will have animations, let's change this to be a stateful widget. So a stateful widget, and here, let us make two variables. So first, late animation controller, and call it animation controller, and then another let animation of type double. Not really sure what's up with that. Why is it modified late? Should it be a comma? No. Oh, my bad. I should have named it, so I'll name it animation. Right. Alright, so now let's bring the init state. Now for the init state, firstly I'll set the animation controls. So animation controller equals to animation controller. Animation controller. My bad, my keyboard is having some trouble, so is why I'm having typos. So animation controller is animation controller, and here the vsync should be this, just this. With that we have duration, and for duration we need a duration widget, inside of which I'll set seconds to be 20. And one more thing, whenever you are going to be using animation, first of all, you have to come here and write with ticker provider state mixin. So without ticker provider state mixin, you cannot use either of this, especially the controller. Now with that, we have the animation. And for animation, we're going to set animation a curve animation, and the parent should be our animation controller, and the curve should be curves dot linear. Now with that, after this, let's put two dot and say add listener, and for the add listener we are just going to use a set state. And after that, we are also going to add two more dots and say add status change, status listener. Now inside of this, what we're going to do is, first of all, I'm going to change this and say animation status. So animation status, and here I'm just going to write if animation status, so animation status equals to animation status dot completed. Just going to run our animation dot reset, just going to run our animation controller dot reset, and then we are going to call our animation controller dot forward so that it starts again. And one more thing, let's get this animation controller dot forward and run it again. So here. Now with that, we can come to our image, and where we had this alignment, so let's uncomment it and call our fractional offset, and here we will set the animation and set 0. And here we have the animation for which we need animation dot value. So with that, if I save it and restart it again, you see now we have a very nice moving background. One more thing, lastly, I want to show different image at different times. Now you remember for our landing screen, we added two images. So firstly, let's just cut it. So Control X, cut it, and above the init state, let's make a list. So list of string and name it underscore images equals to this list. And inside of this, let's pass this string and also pass it one more time and make it shopping 2. So we had shopping 1 and shopping 2. Now with that, inside of this init state, let's call this list of image, so images, and say dot shuffle. So with that, let's just come up where we had the image and we say underscore image at index 0. So the interesting thing is it will never be the same index always. Sometimes it will be this one, sometimes it will be other one. Now let's check it. So let's restart. You see, now we have a different image. Restart again. Again, a different one. So with that, our landing screen is complete. In the next lecture, we will hopefully get started with the login screen. Now, in the last video, we had these 4 buttons where I wrote login, sign up, and login, sign up. Now to fix this, come to landing screen and make sure that the last 2 buttons are Google and guest. So you have Google and guest here. Now with that, I'll go to my main.dart and change this to be bottom navigation screen. because when the animation is running, my laptop hangs a bit. So bottom navigation screen and save it. And now it's much better, because whenever I have it in the bottom navigation screen, it really lags a lot. Alright, so now with that, our task is to work on the login screen. To work with the login screen, let's go to pub.dev and search for Wave. Come to Wave package and come to installing. Here you will find the dependency that you have to copy. So copy this much, go to your pubspec.yaml and paste it here. Save it, and you should have the packages for your app. Now to use this package, you can go back to pub.dev where you have this example, or let's go to readme and copy this much. So just copy it, and you can have something like this. So you will have a wave that looks similar to this. Now what I'm going to do is I'm not going to copy this, I'm going to write my own. So let's go back, and in the screens folder, let's make a new folder, call it Auth. Inside Auth, let's make a new file and write a login underscore screen.dart. Let's import material.dart, and let's make a stateless widget, call it login screen. We need a scaffold here, so a scaffold, and for the body I'll use a stack. And stack has its children. Now with that, let's go back to main.dart and let's change the home to be our login screen, so we can see the login screen and edit it as we need to. So now we have this blank login screen, where in the stack, let's start using the wave widget. So firstly, I want the wave widget, so called the wave widget. And for the config, we need a custom config. Custom config. For the custom config, we are going to set the colors first of all, so colors, and this will be a list. For the list, I'll set 4 colors, so colors dot orange accent, colors dot teal accent, colors dot pink accent, and lastly colors dot deep purple accent. You could use the colors however you want. I'll just go with this 4 colors. And then we have a duration. For duration, I'll set another list where I'll set 35000, comma 11000, comma 10800, and lastly 6000. Now after that, let's put the height percentage, and this shall be a list as well, where I'll set 0.01, 0.02, 0.03, and 0.1. After that, let's set a blur. So for the blur, I'll make a const mask filter dot blur, and let's use a blur style dot solid. And for the sigma, let's use 0. Now after that, we have another height percentage. So let's call the height percentage. But before we do so, let's use the size. So for the size, I'll use a const size. And let's set the height to be double dot infinity, and again a double dot infinity. So with that, what's the error that we have? Okay, So restart it. Now one more thing, let's use another height percentage here and pass a 0.2. Save it. Now the thing is, I want this wave to be down here. So what I'll do is I'll wrap this wave widget with a center and make it rotated box and give it a quarter turn of 2. So with that, if I save it, so this is the view I'll go with. Alright, so what I've done is I have commented the entire rotated box because the animation that it altogether brings up in the screen slows down my entire machine. So I've just commented it out and I'll uncomment it once we are done with everything. So after inside this stack and after this rotated box, let's make a column with children and give it a main axis alignment of main axis alignment dot start. Inside of this, firstly let's bring a const sized box of height 50, and then inside a center bring a child of text that says a login. Let's give this login some style. So a style, text style. Give it a font size of 65. That looks about alright, and I'll bring it to 80. Better. Now, after this text, let us copy it again and let's come down, paste it, and we can use here 30. Now also this column, I'll wrap this in a center, and change this center to be a form. A form, so we can use the text field that we'll have now for validation and so on and so forth. Now let's go up, and we must have it in a stateful widget first of all. Let's make a global key. So final underscore form key equals to global key of type form state. So form state here. So let's get this variable, come down where we have this form, and for the key parameter of this form, pass this form key. Alright. After that, let's come down and let's make a text field. And let's do things with it. So first of all, let's give it a validator, and validator will give us a value. So for the email, this text form field will be for email. So the validator should be if value dot is empty, or colon value dot contains at. I would like to return a text that says please enter a valid email address, else just return me null. So that's for the validator. Now we have some prefix icon. Let's get the decoration of input decoration. Bring in the field to be true. Bring in the border to be outline input border of border radius. Let's give it a border radius dot circular of 12. Outside this border, let's give it a prefix icon of icons.email. And one more thing for this entire text field, let's give it a key of value key, and the value should be email. Alright, after this text field, copy it, give another size box of height 20, and also after this validator, I also want an onSaved. So an onSaved, for this onSaved, I'll get a value, and with that value, I'd like to do something. So to do something, let's come here and let's make two strings. So final string email, and let us initialize it to be an empty string, and I'll copy this, paste it one more time, and make it password. So with that, let's come down where we have this onSaved, and what I want to do is I want the email equals to this value that we will get. What is wrong? My bad. Let's change this final. We do not need these finals. Alright, so now with that, what's still wrong? Okay, so we are good. Now, one more thing. Let's change a keyboard type. So a keyboard type should be text input type.email. So with that, let's copy this entire text field. Copy it. And before copying it, one more thing. Let's set a label text of email. Okay. So now let's copy this entire text field. Copy it. And after the size box, paste it. Now we want this to be, this value should be of type password, and the label should be a password. The icon should be of type lock. Now for the validator, it should be if value.isEmpty or value.length is less than 8. So I'd write here password must be at least 8 characters or 8 units. And for the onSaved, this should be for the password that we have. And we do not need this keyboard type. Now, one more thing, I want to add a suffix icon here. So if you see, if I start writing here, the password is a very visible one, and that is not what we want. So for the text field, I'll set the obscure text to be true. With that, if I save it, now you see we have an obscure text. Now I also want a button here where if you click, you can see what's the password that you have written. So after this prefix icon, let's add a suffix icon where I want to use an icon button. And for the onPressed, I'll leave it as an empty function, and for the icon, I'll set an icon of icons.visibility. So with that, let's save. And now what I want to do is whenever I click this, I want this thing to show up. So to make it dynamic, we need to, where we have this obscure text, we need to pass it to a variable. So let's go up and let's make a variable. Call it bool is visible equals to false, because by default it should be at false. Now inside of this icon, inside of this suffix icon, before I do so, this obscure text should get its true and false from is visible. So is visible. And to change this is visible, we can come here and do a set state, where I want to set this is visible equals to not is visible. So with that, let's save. What's wrong here? Oh, my bad. I'll just get rid of this too. Great. So with that, if I click it, you see now we have this. Now one more thing, for the icon, I want to change it to be, if it is visible, I'll use this icon of icons.visible. If not so, I'll use icons.visible underscore off. So with that, save it again. And you see now we have this button because now we can see it. So if we see it, now we can unsee it. Great. Now one more thing, outside of this column, let's come out and let's make another column. Give it some children, and this column, my bad, Control X, this should be outside the form. And this column needs a main axis alignment of main axis alignment dot end. I'll give it a center of text button, so a center. As a child, it will take a text button, so a text button. Text button, where I'll set the on press to be empty, and for the child I'll give it a text that says create an account. So save it. Let's give it some style of text style that takes a color of colors.white. So with that, save it again. Now underneath the button, I'll also give it some more size. So const sized box of height .30. This thing should be outside the center, of course. Okay, now I'll also take this a text button that we have. I'll take this text button, copy it, and use it outside this text field. And also use this const size box. So Control C and paste it here. And instead of this being a text button, it should be an elevated button. So with that, if we save it, that's a nice look for the login screen. Okay, so now we will work with the validation and saving the form. Now, please don't worry that my background is in white and yours might be in black or vice versa. It doesn't matter because I have deleted the app and rerun it. That's why it is in the default state. So please do not worry about it. Now, first of all, let's give a static route name for the login screen. So a static const route name login screen. Now after that, what I want to do is when I'm here and if I bring up the keyboard, when I press done, I want to go to the password, and when I click on the done for password, I want it to start logging in or creating or whatsoever. My bad. This create account that we have should be a login. Let's give this one indigo or deep purple accent. Okay. Now, up here, let's make a function of void submit data. And what submit data should do is, first of all, let's make a final variable. So final is valid equals to form key dot current state dot validate. And if it validates, so if is valid, what I want to do is I want to call my form key dot current state dot save. Okay, so now let's get started with the focus thing. First of all, we need a variable here. So final or of type focus node and call it password focus node equals to a focus node. And we also need to dispose it, so let's call the dispose method, and here I'll just call our password focus node dot dispose. Great. And this password, one extra R here, and this password focus node, we will come down to our text field of password and call the focus node and give the value here. Now what I want to do is, for the text form field, we have an on editing complete. So on editing complete, what I want to do is I want to call our focus scope dot of context dot request focus and give it the password focus node. So with that, if we click done, you see we come here. Now one more thing, for the password text form field, let's bring our on editing complete, and here I just want to use my submit form, so it will start logging in. And also this submit data, I'd like to use it for this button here where it says login. So with that, if I click it, you see now we have error because of the validator that you have set. There is nothing here, there is nothing here. And one more thing, if our keyboards are open, I want the keyboard to close down whenever I click this login. Now to implement that, let's come here and whenever this submit data is called, first we will run this check, and after that what we will do is we are going to say focus scope dot of context dot unfocus. So here, if we have something open and we click login, you see it's gone. Alright, so let's get started with the sign up. First of all, for this form that we have in the login screen, let's wrap this column inside the form with some padding. So save it. That's great. Now for the sign up screen, and before we go to the sign up screen, let's Ctrl A to copy everything, and let's make a new file inside the Auth. So Auth here, new file, call it sign up underscore screen dot dart. Here, paste it. Now to tackle all the place where it says login, let's press Ctrl F, search for login, and it says in 9th place, and all of those I want to be replaced with sign up. So if you want this place to come up, you have to press Ctrl F for Windows and Command F for iOS. Now click replace all, and everything has been replaced. With that, let's save it, and let's go to main.dart. And what we didn't do last time was to implement the login screen route name. So ctx login screen. We need the same for the sign up, so I'll just change it. Sign up screen, copy it and paste here as well. Sign up screen. Now what's the error we have? My bad, this should be a comma. Alright, so with that, now I'll use the sign up screen as our home so we can see what's going on. So let's change it to be sign up screen. Now for the sign up screen. Firstly, instead of create an account, this should be log into your account. Okay. Now, if we start from up here, we need 2 more fields, because here we have email password. I want another one for the full name and the phone number. So let's make another one. I'll copy this one, paste it and say it underscore full name, and one more time, and this one will be of type let int, because I won't initialize it, and give it a name of phone number. Now we need 2 more scopes, so copy this, paste, paste, and firstly I'll use the first we will have the full name, and then we will have the phone number. So we need one for the email. Let's just change it here. Email focus scope, and we have one for the number focus scope. And we as well need to dispose them, so I'll just paste it 2 more times here. And first call the email focus scope, and here let's call the number focus scope. Okay. Now let's come down where we have this, and let's take this text field that we have. So this text field alongside this size box, I'll take this, copy it, paste it here, save it. We have to change the key that we have. So where is the text field? Here it is. The key should be our full name. So name, And what I want to do is here I'll set the underscore name, full name equals to value. For the prefix icon, I'll set it to be icons.person. For the validator, I'll see value.isEmpty. I'll say please enter your full name. We do not need the keyboard type here, so let's just comment it out. And for this one, we will use the email focus scope. Now let's give a recheck if we have left something unsaved. Yeah, we're good with it. On editing complete, we're good with it. The key, we are good with it. The validator, we're good with it. The label text should be full name. And yes, we're good. Now after that, if I copy this, we need it one more time. And my bad, for the second one, let's first change it to be number. For the first one, so for the first text field, the focus scope should be the number focus scope, not the email. And we do not need this here. Now let's focus on the second one. For the second one, this should be a value dot length equals to 11. So if I want to check if my value is less than 11, I'd like to say phone number must be 11 units. For its on editing complete, I'd like to go to the email focus scope. That's alright. For on change, on saved, it should be the phone number equals to value, or I should write here int.parse value. Okay, so for the label text that we have, this should be phone number. And for the icon, let's use a phone. Alright, so let's click the sign up. Please enter a full name. Please, phone number must be 11 units. Please enter a valid email address. And password must be 8 units. That's looking about alright. Now, what we want to do is come down. For this button here, login to your account, I want to pass here navigator dot off context dot push named replacement. So push replacement named, and this should be login screen dot route name. And I'll just copy it. Also come back to my login screen, and down below I'll paste it, and this should be the sign up screen. So with that, let's click it. We go to the login screen, let's click it, we come back to the sign up screen. Great. Alright, so one thing, if you click here for the sign up screen, you see we have an error here. The error is because this page is not scrollable. Now to fix this, come down where you have this column inside the form and wrap this with a center and make this center a single child scroll view. So now you see the error is gone. One more thing, if I click here, I want to go to the next one. So to fix this, for the first one where we have the name, I want a text input action. So text input action of type text input action dot done. So let's just copy it. Why are we not requesting focus? Alright, then we come to the next text field and we pass the same here. We come to the third text field and we pass the same here, but not for the last one, because for the last one we are submitting it. Let's go to the login screen, and here let us also wrap this column in a single child scroll view. So first center and then change it to be a single child scroll view. And for the first text field we only have two text fields. For the first one I'll just paste it to be instead of done, this should be next. My bad. This should be next. This next here. So copy it, come back here. This one should be next. This one should be next. And so should be this one here. So with that, let's try. Yep, now it works. Alright, so now what I want to do is add a circle avatar here where we can add our own image, and then we can upload that to Firebase as our profile picture. Now to get the image, firstly let's go to pub.dev. Here you will find image underscore picker. Come to installing and get the dependency here. Come to pubspec.yaml, save it here, paste it here, and save it to get the package. Now to use it, first of all, let us come here and make a file and get this from dart.io and give it underscore image. Now let's make a function future underscore get image. This should be an async because we will have some asynchronous function going on inside, and call a final image equals to await image picker dot pick image image picker dot pick image, and source will be image source dot camera for now. And then we are going to do a set state of underscore image equals to file image hashbang dot path. Now with that, let's come underneath inside the stack, and for this sign up here where we have the center sign up, I'll wrap the center in a row, and let us get rid of this center. So remove widget. Now here I'll bring a circle avatar and give it a size or a radius of 60. And for this, let's give a background image, and right here, if underscore image equals to null, I'll just set it to be null. And if that is not the case, we want a file image. Now to use the file image, let's write file image and call underscore image dot path. Now, as a child, for the circle avatar, as a child, let's have a const, or no, let's just have an icon of icons dot camera, give it a color of colors dot white and a size of 50. Okay, now here let's write if underscore image is null, then we want null. If that is not null, we want the icons dot camera. Now to use the camera, firstly let's put a size box between the circle avatar and the text, and let's change this to be a width of maybe 20. Alright, now let us wrap this circle avatar in an inkwell, so a center, and then change the center to be inkwell, and the inkwell will have an on tab where I'll call our get image. So save it, and now if I click it, we have access to the camera. Great. Now why do we still have it? Alright, great. Now before we wrap this video up, what I'd like to do is come up where we have this get image method, and I'll change this to be image source dot gallery. Alright, now first of all let's go to our home in the main.dart and change this to be the landing screen that we have. Save it, and here we have the landing screen. Let's go to Signup Screen and enable this comment that we made. Save. Let's also go to the login screen and uncomment it out. Great. Now when we click guest, I want to log in anonymously, so let's also go to the landing screen that we have. So the landing screen here, and here where we have guest, let's call navigator dot of context dot push named, and here we are going to call our bottom navigation screen dot route name. And let's see what does the login screen look like. So we haven't set anything for the login and sign up, so let's go up and where we have this login, and I'll just copy this entire navigator. So copy, come up, let's paste this one here, make it the login screen, and paste one right here and call the sign up screen. So with that, save. Let's go to login. Alright, let's go to sign up. Nice. Now I'll also hit the go as guest method, so we can move into the main app, and here in the user section where we have this, we don't have a logout yet, so let's go to the user screen, and inside of the user screen where we are having a lot of user list style, so let's go to the user setting, this phone number, email, let's let's take this email field where we have this email field, Control F, and find email. Here we have an email field, so I'll just copy this much and come up where we have the dark mode, so search for dark mode, and here we have it. So after this card, let's put it here and save it. Now for this one, I'll write log out, and we do not need a subtitle. And for the icons, I'll use power settings new, and the colors, I'll set it to be colors.red. Maybe yes. And for the on tap, for the function body, I'm just going to ask a navigator, so a navigator dot off context dot can pop. So if popping is possible, I'll call navigator dot off context dot pop, or else it's just going to be a null. So with that, if we click it, Alright, now let us get started with uploading a product. First, let's go to the screens where we have this inner screen folder, and inside of this, let's make a new file. Call it upload underscore product underscore screen dot dart. Inside of this, let's make import material dot dart, and let's make a stateful widget. Call it upload product screen. Now inside of this, let's get a scaffold. And now let's go to main.dart, and before we do so, firstly let's get the static const route name. So a static const route name, upload product screen. Now let's go to main.dart, and here let's copy this, paste it here, and let's change this one to be upload product screen. Copy this one and put this one here. So now we can access this product screen from this back layer that we have. So in the widgets, you have the black back layer. So go to the back layer, and where you have this upload a product, call here navigator dot off context dot push named, and the name should be upload product screen dot route name. Now with that, if we click this where we have this back layer, we are taken to this upload a product screen. Let's get rid of this back layer, and let's start working in the upload a product screen. Now before getting started, let's make some initial values that we need. So first let's make a final underscore form key, because we will be having a form here, and this widget is going to be very similar. I mean, this screen is going to be very similar to that of the sign up screen. So form key is a global key, which is a generic type, and we have to mention the type of form state. Let's get some variables. So var underscore product title. Let's set it to be an empty string and copy this. We need it for the title, the price, the category, the brand, the description, the quantity. So product title, product price, product category, product brand, product description, and product quantity. Great. Now that's not enough. I also need two controllers. So final text editing controller, name it category controller equals to a text editing controller. Let's copy this and paste it down below, and this one should be our brand controller. Alright, after that, let's make two other variables of string category value and a string brand value. Let's put a late in front of this because we will initialize those later. And after this, let's also call our global methods. Give it a name of underscore global methods and equals to global methods. And this global methods, if you remember, is for the dynamic alert dialog that we made earlier. After that, we also need a file. So a file that's going to hold our image. And this file should come from dart.io. Okay. With that, let's also make a method for showing the pop-up or the dialog, and let's name it show alert dialog. We should expect a build context of build context, a string title, and a string body. So title is the title and body is the content, or I'll just name it content. Now inside of this, let's bring our show dialog. For the context, I'll leave the context. For the builder, let's call the context again. So the context that we have. And here let us return our alert dialog. So the alert dialog. For the alert dialog, we have the title, which I'll set to be the string title that we are getting. So text of title. We have the content, where I'll set another text and I'll call the string content that we have. And for the actions, so the actions of the dialog, let's get a flat button or a text button. For the on press, I'll leave it empty, and for the child, let's bring a text where it says okay. Now for the onPressed, what we want to do is we want to call our navigator of context.pop. So navigator dot of dot pop. Okay, so with that, let's come down here and let's make a new method for trying to submit. So void underscore try submit, and this should be an async already because we will have a lot of things that needs to go inside of this. Finally, first I'll make a final is valid like we did in for the signup screen, underscore form key dot current state dot validate, and we need to do a null check here. After that, whenever this thing is called, I want to call the focus scope. So focus scope dot of context dot unfocus. And after that, if underscore is valid, what I want to do, I want to call underscore form key dot current state dot save. Alright, now let's come down, and before I do anything, let's go to our sign up screen. And where is it? Inside Auth we have this sign up screen, and let's get the method for picking an image. So future get image. I'll copy this, bring it here, and I'll make it get image. I'll name it get camera image. Camera image, CMERA, camera. We need to import the image picker class, and this one should be image source dot camera. Now let's get this thing, or come down and say paste one more time, and I'll say get gallery image, and this should be alright. Now with that, let's make another method for removing the image. So this should be a void underscore remove image, and what I want to do is I want to set state and say underscore image equals to null. So with that, let us start working. Now for the scaffold, let's come down and let's firstly call a body where I want the safe area, and its child should be a form. The form needs a key, and this should be our form key. So the form key that we have, and let's give it a child of single child scroll view, because I want this thing to be scrollable, and this needs a child of column, which in turn has a children. Now let's start with the UI. Firstly, let's get a center, or we do not need the center. Let's get a row, inside of which I want children, and the children should be a flexible. The child of the children should be a padding. Padding, edge, insert all. Actually, we do not need this flexible and padding for now. Let's get a text form field. This text form field will have a key of value key, so a value key, and right here a title. After the key, let us give it a validator. So a validator where I want to say I want to get the value, and what I'll do with the value, firstly, if I'll do an if check, if val dot is empty, I want to return a dialog which says please enter a title, and if that is not the case, I just want to return null. Now after the validator, let's go outside and call our keyboard type that should be of text input type dot email address. Does it have to be email address? Yes. Alright. Now for the decoration, we can give an input decoration where I can set the label text where it says title. After the decoration, let us call our onSaved, and we'll get a value here. And with the value, what I want to do is I want to call our underscore product title equals to the value that we get. Now what's wrong here? Okay. Now with that, let us get another text field. So I'll just take this text form field, and before I do so, let's wrap this text field in a center, make it flexible, and give it a flex of 3. Now with that, let's copy this entire flexible and paste it one more time here and give it a flex of 1. And for this one, I'll give a value key of a price. Now with that, save it, and this is what we have. This thing should be price, so a price, and let's just give a $sign here. Okay, now what I want to do is let's change the keyboard input type to be a number. And for the validator, what we're going to do is price is missing. What more? What I want to do is, for example, if you suddenly put some ABCD here, that's not something I want. So I want to set a rule for it. To set a rule, we can do an input formatter, and inside of this, let's do filtering text input formatter. So filtering text input formatter dot allow, and here we can set a rule for what should be allowed. And let's write here regexp, so regex export, and here we are going to write a rule of if r 0 to 9, so only values from 0 until 9 will be allowed. Okay, so for the onSaved, let's get it to our underscore product price dot value dot toString. Okay, now before we go further, I'd like to also wrap this text form field with some padding, or maybe just use some const here. So const sized box of width 10. Okay, that's looking about alright, and this column should also be wrapped in some padding. Now let's get outside this row, so I'll just make it small, and here let's give another const sized box of height, maybe 10. And after the size box, let's bring another row where we need children. And for the children, what I'll do is I'll set an expanded, so expanded, and the child should be a container. This container will be for holding our image. So this container, what I want to do is I want to set some height for it, so height of 200 and width of 200, and give it a decoration of box decoration, where I want to set the border to be border.all of width 2, and a color of the width should be colors.gray. So with that, save it. Let's see what it looks like. Let's see one. Okay. Now, one more thing, I'll just get this entire container and I'll cut it, or we can just copy it out. Get this entire container, copy it. Now, outside of this box decoration, let's give it a child of image.file. And this image should come from underscroll image that we have. And let's give it a fit of box fit dot contain, should be good. Now for the container that you see inside this expanded, what I'll do is here first I'll do a check. So if underscroll image equals to null, equals to null, so question mark, I'll set this container. If that is not the case, I'll set the container that is with the image. So with that, save it. Okay, that is great. So now go after this expanded and set a column. This column will, if I go up, all right, yeah. For this column, I'll set 3 text button, text icon buttons. So text button.icon, text button.icon, and on press should be underscroll get camera image. Icon should be a const icon, icons dot camera underscroll alt, and the label should be a text that says camera. So with that, let's copy this entire line and paste it 2 more times, save it. Let's see what we get. Okay, so we have one for camera, let's wait a bit. Okay, we have one for camera, one should be for gallery, so I'll change this to be underscroll get gallery image, and this one should be icons.image. And this one should be gallery, and for the last one this should be underscroll remove image. This one should be icons dot let's see what we have with remove. Remove circle, and this one should say remove. So with that, save it. Okay, that is looking nice. I'll give a space here to see what it looks like. All right, now that is not it. After this, let us come down and we can come after this column, put a size box of height 10 first, come outside this column and put this size box of height 10, and after that let's call another row with children, and what we want to do here is give it an expanded, so expanded, and this thing should be of expanded text form field. So text form field. For this one, I'll set a key of value key, and the value key should be of type category. So for this text form field, let's also give it a controller of a category controller that we built before. So category controller, and what I want to do is give it a validator, and with that validator what I want to do is I want to see if val.isEmpty, return please enter a category. Let's do a null check here. Alright, and if it's that's not the case, we want to return a null. So with that, save it. Let's see what it looks like. What's wrong? Now after this validator, let's give it a decoration of input decoration, and give it a label text of add a new category, and also let's give it an on saved, so on saved, where we will get some value, and with that value I want to call underscore product category equals to val.toString. So my question is, why do we not have this text form field being showed? Let's remove this expanded. Is that the case? Not really sure what's wrong. I'll also get another text form field, copy it and put it inside this row to see what's wrong. Let's change this to be ABC. OMG, what's wrong? I really don't understand. Okay, I'll just remove this and I'll work with what we were working. Let's rewrap this text form field with a center and change the center to be expanded. Okay, so now I want to use here drop down button. So a drop down button. Items should be our drop down button item, drop down menu item, and inside of this we have a child that should be of text where it says a phone, and for the value I'll reuse phones. Now with that, we should wrap this in a list first of all. Let's go back. So take this much, Control X, and put it here. Now for the onChanged, I'll just give it an empty function. Now for the onChanged, what I want to do is get a string value first of all, and with the value, let's come inside and call a setState underscore category value equals to the value that we get. And again, let's get the underscore category controller dot text equals to should be the value that we are getting. With that, also call our underscore controller dot text So we should have this a few more times. So one for phones, one for clothes, one for phones, clothes, beauty, shoes, furniture, and watches. So phones, I'll change this to be clothes, clothes. Want them for the beauty, and health, beauty. One for the shoes, so come down here and write shoes, shoes. One for the furniture and the other one for the watches. Furnitures. Just keep it furniture, and the other one should be for watches. Okay, so now with that we have this error with the thing because we haven't set the hint. So the hint should be a text where I say select a category, and the value should be underscore category value. Now what's wrong? If I check the problems that we have, the argument type void function string cannot be assigned to the parameter type void function string. So let's see, value dot to string, value dot to string. Does it work? I'll just pause the video, I'll see what's wrong, and then I'll restart it. Alright, so first of all, to get all the errors that we had in the upload a product screen, let's come to this link here. You can find the link if you come to my GitHub and flutter_shop_cpt21. Here you have all the branches. Go to 69, upload product part 1, and copy whatever you find inside of this. I had some error putting things inside rows and columns, and so that happened. Now paste it and you should be good to go. Now for this video, what I want is another option of swiping between this page and the main screen. So where we have the screens, let's remove this auth, inner screen, and everything. Inside screens, let's make a new file, call it main_screen.dart. And for this main screen.dart, this could just stay a stateless widget. I'll do an import material.dart and call a stateless and say it main screen. And for the return, I'll get a page view. And page view has some children, where the first one, I'll set it as my bottom navigation screen. So bottom nav screen. And the second one should be our upload product screen. So with that, if I save it, come back to main.dart, and instead of this bottom navigation screen, I use the main screen, save it, and let us restart this app. Now you see we are in the bottom navigation screen. To go to the main screen or to go to the upload a product screen, I could just swipe in here. Just a second. Not really sure why can't I swipe. Let's just increase the size a bit. No worries, but if you install this app in a physical device and you swipe from left to right, you could navigate between two screens.